Hi, I'm Armstrong Williams, and in this edition of the show, we'll be joined by the families from Buffalo, Uvalde, Texas, and people on the street talking about the issue of violence, guns, and what should we do with the Second Amendment and the fact that Congress is on the heels of passing historic gun legislation. Join us. I'm Armstrong Williams.
Why is the day so important?
The day is important because these victims who lost their loved ones senselessly in that supermarket in Buffalo, New York, will have an opportunity to have their voice heard to help define the legacy of their loved ones, that their deaths will not be in vain.
My heart really goes out to your loss. And I know being here is very emotional. It seems like it's nonstop. I just hope real results come from this to help you heal. But from you lost your loved ones, you and Michelle. Tell us why you're here and why this is important, Michelle.
I've said from the beginning of this, I will tell my mom's story. And I say that because it's bigger even than what happened that day, that horrible day on May 14th. My mother was a wonderful woman. She was the type of person that if you would be honest, you would say, I want my child to grow up to be like Pearl Young. Pearl Young worked in a pantry 25 years. My mom taught Sunday school for 40 years, was loved from kids who were 5 years old all the way up to adults. And I'm here because her story needs to be told. It needs to be remembered. I tell people I want her story to be remembered. I want the Buffalo 10 to be in history books because people need to know that if we don't do anything, this is what happens. So I want them to be remembered because they are worthy of that. They were the best of Americans, not just African Americans. They were the best of Americans.
We're here to make sure that they know something must be done. You have to put people over politics. We can't just have this gridlock and our loved ones keep getting killed in schools, supermarkets, anywhere you have this evil hate that is being radicalized.
No family should ever experience this ever again. And I'm here, like Pam said, using all of that hurt, all of that frustration, all of that anger, and I'm using it as a catalyst to bring change. I'm here to lobby until there's no more breath in my body for that anti-Black hate crime bill to be passed, for the look and the focus to be on what it is, and that is that white supremacy was at the seat of these massacres.
This is not about finances, wealth. It's not about money. It's about healing and to make sure that families with what you experienced never have to experience this again.
Absolutely. I mean, as Michelle so eloquently stated, and Pam, it's bigger than all of us. We're here to make sure that our loved ones are properly memorialized, that people never forget who they were, what they stood for. But we're also standing on the shoulders of our ancestors and others who have sacrificed much for this country down through the years. We're not asking for favors. We're asking to be treated like Americans, like human beings. And that's what we're here for, to make sure that the persons that are elected by us to represent us do that.
Choose to love and not to hate, and choose to support the ones who are being hated so we don't feel alone. Because if we're all Americans, as Pam has stated, then why are we not supporting each other as Americans? Why is it not filled up here? Why do I not see the courtroom so full? Because they're so done with all the hate that all we want right now is love and support.
Reach out to your representatives. Put pressure on your representatives to do their job and support all Americans. We are Americans, brought here in chains, and if there is a replacement, the replacement was brought so you could replace your workforce all those years ago. But we have fought down through the years. Our mother came from the Jim Crow South to the north to Buffalo to be slain in a grocery store in the middle of the afternoon. We're asking you, please reach out to your public officials, put pressure on them to do the right thing. It's time to put down white supremacy as a premise completely in this country.
And finally, Michelle, this is not about left, right, conservative, Republican, Democrat. This is about healing our nation. This is not about politics for
Absolutely.
you. This is real for you.
Absolutely. And I think we've gotten caught up into the semantics of black, white, left, right. At the end of the day, we are all human beings. I said it before and I'll say it again. If you cut, you bleed red blood. If I cry and you cry, we cry clear tears. So let's get beyond all of the bureaucracy, get beyond all of the opinions, and get to the seat of the matter, which is that we are human beings in a democracy, and that needs to be respected and protected.
Please, I will go door to door everywhere I can until you are all registered to vote, because we have to get the people into office that we choose, that will respect what we have to say and that will actually do what the people who they're representing say. You don't just get elected to go and do as you want to and hang out with your friends. You still have to listen to the people who voted. So vote.
We're here to represent and to stand in support of Dr. Guerrero, pediatrician, the only pediatrician at Uvalde. All of us here are pediatricians who spend our life taking care of children and work to ensure their survival. And this tragedy that keeps happening with gun violence has got to stop.
Most of us are pediatricians, and one of our colleagues, Dr. Guerrero, is testifying today. He's from the town of Uvalde, and as pediatricians, we know and understand the impact that gun violence has on children and on families and on communities, and we're here to speak up and really speak up for kids.
And then you had a situation where someone who felt they were in pain and blamed their physician and went inside the hospital. So hospitals are not sacred any longer.
Yeah, I think as medical professionals, we've seen that and we know that, and our commitment is to take care of patients and families, and we want to make all these places safe for everyone, for doctors, but also for our patients, for students, for everyone.
What do you hope will come out of today's hearings?
Well, I hope that finally, as a nation, we will stand up and we will say, it is important to help keep our children and our families and our communities safe, and that we can work together to do that. And there's so many things that we all agree on, and coming together and really focusing on all those things that we agree on to really promote responsible gun ownership and promote positive and supportive mental health treatment for all, and come together on all of those things.
And they must get inside to do what brought them here. We really appreciate you all so much talking to us exclusively before the hearing. I'm Armstrong Williams. Brother, thank you.
Thank you, Armstrong Williams, for giving a voice to these families.
Washington, D.C. has become the rallying cry for protesters across the United States. The latest protest, let's limit guns or get rid of guns altogether. We had an opportunity to cover this protest, and this is what they had to say.
Don't look away!
Good morning, everybody. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C.
I've been discouraged about gun reforms. We see in cities across our America gun violence that's robbing a whole generation of young people from their futures and traumatizing whole neighborhoods. We've seen children. We saw, small children in Sandy Hook, fourth graders in Uvalde, people going to church in Charleston. So it's just so many things that should have shocked this country into action. We know that movements sometimes move along a pendulum, and I'm hoping that the pendulum towards courage and peace is swinging in the right direction.
Don't look away.
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 When I came in this country, is a Columbine High School happened, then is the Sandy Hook, Connecticut, now is Texas. Please, gun control now.
My name is Emily Engelhaupt, and I'm a member of Giffords Gun Owners for Safety. We were started by the former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords, who was shot back in 2011. And we're gun owners who support common sense gun legislation. And we know that the Second Amendment and common sense gun laws do not have to be at odds. Gun owners are recognizing that the NRA does not speak for them. It doesn't have to be these extremist views of no laws. I'm not a member of the NRA, but their rhetoric is dangerous, and it does not speak for all gun owners. Their interest is selling guns, and in order to do that, you have to have safety. There has to be responsibility that goes with that.
I want to welcome you to your nation's capital, and I want you to know that you are joined by a team of Washingtonians who refuses to give up this fight until Congress does its job.
We got a report from the Congress. They seem to have a list and a consensus around certain issues. And we just have to keep speaking up. This group, Moms Demand, every town, this is what they do in towns across America to make sure that the senators do their job.
My sign, yes, the sign is talking about a bullet that I received, is a uninvolved bystander in a shooting in my suburban neighborhood. My son was also injured in the shooting. He has shrapnel in his arm. We both have elevated lead levels, and we are here today to demand action.
My son, Lamont William Adair Jr., was murdered on 8/8/2018 on Gregg Street in Sea Pleasant, Maryland. He was getting ready to leave the following month for China to go play ball. It's the worst thing ever to lose someone to gun violence. It's just too many guns out here. We need to get the guns off the street.
All these people out here are hurting. From the 99 to the 1%, male, female, anything in between, Republican, Democrat. Our children are dying.
NRA needs to do something different. Go and meet with the victims and the families who lost family members to gun violence, then you will understand. I hope it don't ever knock at your door. Then you will understand about the assault rifles and different guns, and the age limit should be up to 25. How can you go into a store and buy a rifle and you can't go and buy a beer?
I was in a school shooting, Florida State. My sister was in a mass shooting at Fort Hood, Texas. My father was terrified. He was the responding police officer, praying to God that his daughter was still alive.
Today is my beloved son's 39th birthday. He was shot October 18, 2006, sitting in his car. He was a quadriplegic, paralyzed from the neck down. But since he was shot, I was graced to forgive the 3 young men that shot my son, and I'm out here every day like these thousands of advocates, hoping and praying that Congress will change laws to protect our family and children.
I'm a pastor, and the lives of people matter to me. I believe that every person is made in the image of God, and gun violence is an epidemic in our country. It affects more than it should, and so it's important for me to come out here and stand with voices of survivors, of moms, of students, of folks who are dealing with the ravages of gun violence, and to advocate for common sense gun reform.
You heard a lot of discussion about thoughts and prayers here today, because that seems to be what people fall back on when they fail to act.
As a pastor, as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, as one who believes in the authority of Scripture, it says that every person is made in the image of God. So that means that every person has worth, and that means, if our faith doesn't mean anything, we follow the example of one who laid down his life so that others might live, laid down his rights or privileges so that others might live. And so for me, I'm following that example. That's what motivates me to be here.
We do have a right to bear arms, and it also separates us from every other country in the world that doesn't have weekly or daily mass shootings. And so we know that the Constitution allows, case law has supported, reasonable limits on gun ownership. And I think that's what has been discussed here.
I believe the Constitution is important, it's helpful, it's insightful, it's something that frames our common life together. And I also understand that the Constitution was written, at a time when we didn't have automatic rifles, and there have been amendments that have tried to apply the Constitution to the times that we're in now. And so